Hello friends, Jeff Hamill here. The holiday season is officially upon us, and that means it is time to go out and buy gifts for your friends and relatives. The greatest gift you can give your loved ones is a power bank from Octopod. A power bank is a portable charging station that you can connect any USB device to. Go to octopod.com/NGC and check out the Ion 10, Ion 3, and Ion Solar power banks. Again, their website is octo-pod.com/NGC. And remember, NGC is powered by Octopod.
In a world where political correctness, liberal indoctrination, and a bought and paid for mainstream media are destroying the American dream, one man will use his microphone to change the narrative, spread information, and uncover the truth. Broadcasting live from the Next Gen Conservative Studios, this is the Whitfield Analysis with Sam Whitfield.
And welcome to the Whitfield Analysis, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing tonight? I am the aforementioned Sam Whitfield, here broadcasting live from NGC 1 in southern Florida. We are broadcasting live here on the NGC Radio Network, and I want to thank you so much for joining me tonight. Big show. Both hours are going to be really big. We're going to be covering politics for the first hour, but then hour number 2 is going to be really fun because, as I've announced on Facebook, we have the Star Wars special coming up during hour number 2 to cover, so I'm very excited about that. But first, we have some political business to take care of. More specifically, we have Ferguson business to take care of, so hopefully you'll stick around for that. And let's start off with our contact info as usual. You can call the voicemail line at 941-564-5805. We're still trying to figure out how to port that into like a Skype account or something. And we'll let you know if and when that does happen, but for now it's just a voicemail line. Again, you can reach me at 941-564-5805 and let us know your comments. You can email me, samwhitfield@ngcmedia.net, and you can follow me on Twitter at samw_NGC, hashtag WA Radio Show if you want your tweets read on air. You can also tweet our producer Jeff at the JHP and use the hashtag WA Radio Show, and he'll read off his tweets as well. Alright, so folks, it has been a busy week just in general. I hope you all had a very good Thanksgiving. Producer Jeff, how was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, it was a pretty good one. It was, You know, lots of family stories are being told around the table, and our bellies are being stuffed with yummy turkey and green bean casserole, my grandmother's baked corn, which, by the way, Sam, I don't know how your family does compliments, but my family does compliments in the opposite way. So, for instance, if we have some food that is really, really good, we'll tell everybody it's poison so that nobody eats it. And so every Thanksgiving and Christmas, I tell my grandmother that her baked corn has almost killed me, and that I would sacrifice my life for everybody else in order for everybody else to be safe and healthy.
We do the same thing with desserts. Like, my mom likes to bake like a lot of homemade stuff, like pastries and whatnot, and so whenever she makes pastries, I'm always like, "Oh God, this is so horrible. I'm such a loving stepson that I'm going to save my stepdad from having to eat this piece of crap cinnamon roll or whatever it may be." But we kind of have the same thing.
No, nobody else eat that. I'll eat it for you. It's so bad. It's going to kill you.
Exactly. Now, I don't know if your family has this tradition. obviously everyone like goes around the table and says what they're thankful for, but we kind of go around like praying, I guess, and kind of doing it like that way.
No, my family usually, we're not like super religious to the point where we would do that. Not necessarily saying that, oh, everybody who's religious does that. Not necessarily saying that, but our family usually doesn't do that too much. Unfortunately, we actually don't even really talk about what we're thankful for, which I think we should start doing. But I mean, we bring it up in an everyday conversation. It's kind of like a giant family get together that we have on Thanksgiving. I think Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday because it's the one that I spend the most time with my family. This year was a little less because we started dinner so late. It was like almost 4 or 5 o'clock that we started dinner, and normally it's around 1 o'clock, but work schedules got in the way and such. But it was a ton of fun to be able to hang out with my family, and that's really all I really wanted to do. Like, yeah. I don't know what you do for Christmas Eve, but I used to hate Christmas Eve because it was like, I can't wait till we get over with tonight so I can open my presents tomorrow. Really, nowadays, I don't really care too much about the gifts. It's mostly Christmas Eve is go to church with some friends that I haven't seen in a while, and then go to their house, and it is the most fun that I can have ever is hanging out on Christmas Eve. Christmas Day is fun, but Christmas Eve is actually, for me, the best part of the holiday season.
Right. I think, and I love Christmas. Out of all the holidays, I think it's probably my favorite one. Not so much in and of the day itself, but the time of year. I love the month of December and just like all the saying Merry Christmas to other people and just kind of the spirit. And yeah, I would agree. I would agree with you. Like, I still like the presents opening thing, but I think now for me that I'm older and more mature, it's not as big a deal as it was when I was a kid. And it's not necessarily because I don't enjoy getting gifts, because I do. It's just that, like, now that I'm older, I feel like, a lot of this stuff that I really, really want, I have. And so, I'm just able to enjoy the holiday more, if that makes any sense.
Oh, yeah.
But getting on to other things, there was a group of individuals who decided to go Black Friday shopping on Monday. And Matt Dallas has coined the term undocumented shoppers to describe these people, and I think it's pretty damn fitting. Ladies and gentlemen, in case you've been living under a rock for this past week, which I can imagine that anyone who listens to this program would be, that they would be living under a rock, then you know the outcome of I don't even want to say that it was a trial, because there really wasn't even a trial, but kind of the outcome of the Ferguson grand jury case, if you want to call it that. I mean, just where do we start with this? I honestly don't know. So, I guess, Jeff, do you kind of want to, what was your kind of reaction when you heard about this the first time?
I'm sorry, I'm reading stuff and going through. Are you talking about Black Friday, Ferguson?
I'm talking about the result of Monday's trial.
Oh, so you're talking about Ferguson. What did I think? What did I hear?
Yeah, well, what were your first impressions when you heard about the results?
I knew that the results were going to be the way that they were a couple of hours before the official launch of when they officially announced it, because the GatewayPundit.com released a leak. They knew somebody who knew what the final decision was going to be, and so I knew that was what was going to happen. That was going to be their final decision. So it didn't surprise me. It also didn't surprise me the fact that people rioted again. It didn't matter to anybody there who or what the final decision was. These people were going to riot.
Right. They were going to riot anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Why they're going...
if they didn't, if they did what they did and did not indict him, there were going to be riots saying, "Oh, this isn't fair." If they would have indicted him, they would have been going through the streets saying, "Yay, we, freedom," or such. And then they just started throwing stuff. I saw videos by Fox News, and they were in the city, and people were like trying to break a McDonald's window, and it failed. And so then they decided to go over to the market where it was originally robbed and then robbed again. If I was that store owner, knowing what the heck is happening, I would have been sitting at the front door with a shotgun and blasting every single person who ever would have come into my shop. Because that's some crap. What is this proving? And to all the anonymous members that are showing up, you're cowards. I'm a full supporter of Anonymous. I love what they're doing. But if you're going to show up to a protest and put a mask over your face so that you don't get in trouble for committing a crime, you're a coward. That's not what Anonymous is about. Anonymous is about internet independence, not having somebody control over your internet, not necessarily about protesting all the time. You're just cowards.
Well, and the other thing is, when you're releasing information about police officers' personal addresses, those people have families, and no matter what you think of Darren Wilson, to do something like release addresses of public officials is just wrong. Now, here's where the heart of the matter begins for me, because like you, Jeff, I knew pretty much what was going to happen. I knew that anyone in their right mind would have looked at the situation with Darren Wilson and said, "You know what? It's unfortunate, but what happened, happened." I mean, in terms of the jury, I knew that the jury would look at this case, look at the evidence, and by the way, for those of you who are saying, "Well, no evidence has been released, we won't truly ever know what happened," Stephanie has said it, Matt said it, Patrick has said it, and I'll say it. Go on to CNN.com and look at the story. All of the evidence has been presented there. I usually don't like going on CNN for links, but since they're the ones that have it, go and look at the evidence. It's all there right in front of people. So, that's complete bullshit that there's no evidence, because there is. Here's what really pisses me off, though, and I apologize for being vulgar in advance, but tonight's episode, specifically hour number 1 in particular, I'm going to be saying a lot of stuff uncensored, in the same way that stuff has been said to me this week uncensored. The evidence came out, and Darren Wilson's kill, while tragic, was a totally righteous kill. Brown was in fact charging after him. There were in fact scrapes on Officer Wilson. Michael Brown did rob that store. I mean, this guy, I don't even want to call him a kid, because he wasn't a kid. He was 18 years old. he was a bad guy who he might not have been a bad guy, but he was acting like a thug. And so, because of that, and because he decided to act like a criminal, he was treated as a criminal.
Well, he was a criminal, and here's the important part. He had over 100 pounds or so over the police officer. So if Sam is charging at me, and he's 100 pounds heavier than I am, of muscle, of fat, whatever, it is, if someone huge is attacking you, lethal force is not a bad option. Because
right.
You could have used in a taser. You could have used in a baton. The baton is so far-fetched. A taser is really far-fetched.
Yeah, and then here's the one that I love, and we'll get into this more in depth in just a second. But, well, why'd you have to fire off 6 shots? That seems a little excessive. And I'll get to that point in a sec, because this was a point that really just appalled me, the reaction that some people had. But here's an issue that has really just been irritating me to no end all this week. So after the verdict, or the result of the jury came out, I started getting Facebook messages and seeing all these statuses from some pretty close friends of mine from high school who I would have thought were smarter than this. But they started posting, and keep in mind that a lot of these were actually white kids too. They were posting stuff along the lines of, well, this just yet proves that America is full of racism and hate towards black people. We must do better. Now, that pisses me off to no end. And I'm sorry, but that's bullshit, and I'm not going to have it, because when you post bullshit like that, you are saying that anyone who supports the jury's outcome is racist. You're saying that anyone who supports the protesters / the rioters is a good person. When really neither of those things have to do with what type of a person you are, or whatever. So I replied back, and I brought up the facts of the case. And yet it didn't matter to these people, because I supported the police officer, therefore I was racist. And it wasn't that I necessarily supported the police officer. I supported the facts that were presented. And no matter what side you're on, the facts remain the same. Michael Brown was charging at Officer Darren Wilson. He robbed a convenience store. He assaulted a store clerk, which nobody seems to bring up that part of the story anymore, is that an innocent store clerk, I think, was hospitalized. But it's just this labeling of you either completely agree with our cause or you're racist. It's bullshit. It pisses me off. and I would expect people to be a lot smarter than this. And I know that Jeff got some more comments, from some of his friends on Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that, Patrick really got into on Facebook with one of his friends. And I mean, Jeff, you and I had a conversation about this early in the week. Do you kind of want to share some of what you were?
Sure.
Sam?
Just to read off some comments on the chat, which, by the way, the chat is on fire today. So thank you guys for coming out and talking. Our friend Eric, who can I spoil it a little bit?
Yeah, well, see, first off, I want to comment that everyone's pumped up for Star Wars. That's why everyone decided to show up today. So
yeah, our friend Eric is going to be on the second hour, and he actually works at a courthouse in Portland, Oregon, and he actually got off of work about an hour and a half early because of the verdict happening. And that's what, the people wouldn't have indicted him because they, this is what he says. Why do you think they wussed out and waited to release the verdict until everyone was at home? Well, just an hour and a half, but still getting off work at 2:30 instead of 4 is pretty sweet. Because the protest was across the street from the courthouse, they decided it would be best to let the courthouse personnel out early to give them a head start on their commute home. And he said that yesterday, 10 more people were arrested for a protest that happened at his court, the courthouse nearest to him. So it's really interesting to me that, and it brings up another point, that these people knew the verdict. They left early, which automatically in my mind thinks if they're leaving early, it means they're getting ready for the riots to happen. Now, if that means if it was definitely indicting or not, I think it's interesting that our own criminal justice system, boom, is trying to leave as soon as possible. And then Eric says about an African-American hugging a police officer. If you Google search African-American hugging a cop, I believe, in Portland, Oregon, there is Johnny Wynn, AP Portland, Oregon, says Police Sergeant Brett and a 12-year-old, Davon Hart, they embrace an emotional photo that has gone viral. And it's actually an emotional picture. And this kind of proves the fact that not all police officers are horrible, awful human beings. But, my thoughts, I have a friend who, I'll say this, she goes to Duke. So there you already know the indoctrination that she gets at school. We've had debates about Islam before, and now she put up a status, and it was, and I quote, hashtag Black Lives Matter. Now, nobody is hating on hashtag Black Lives Matter, but the point was, and the reason why I commented and said hashtag skin color had nothing to do with it, is that how hashtags work, adding a joke to it. But I was like, his color had nothing to do with it. The jury, or whoever decided not to indict the police officer, weren't looking at the color of the skin and go, oh yeah, he's definitely innocent, he's a cop. No, these people are supposed to not know anything about the case, and if they are, they're supposed to get out of there. And they're supposed to hear the evidence thoroughly and evenly. So the color of the skin had nothing to do with it. And by claiming that Black Lives Matter, in this context, you were claiming that cops' lives or police or firefighter or emergency personnel lives, they don't matter.
Right.
And that's the part that irritates me. All the lives matter. Everyone's life matters. Right.
Well, and again, that's another thing that irritates me too. But going back to my original point, it's like, it's like this thing isn't racist. Like one of the statuses I saw, let me see if I can. I'm on Facebook right now. I won't name this person if they're listening, but if you are listening, know that I'm going to use your status here because you've made it so apparently public. So, he decided to, I guess he decided to take it down. His status was, I actually found it. So the status that he posted was simply, when will the pattern change? Hashtag justice for Michael Brown. And the pattern that he's inferring is that black people get arrested more than white people, or at least that's the statistic that he's trying to pass off. And again, I posted a status. I posted like a hashtag saying, like, hashtag, what the hell does a pattern have to do with anything? Here, it's this whole idea that the jury was looking at Michael Brown and saying, oh, this kid was a black kid, so we're not going to prosecute, is completely ludicrous. And look, I get that this country isn't perfect. No one said it is. And all these people are saying, well, we need to work harder on race relations and we need to continue to improve on race relations. We still have a long ways to go. I would agree with you partially, but I would also agree that no matter what we do, it's never going to be perfect because we're human beings and human beings are flawed. And the way people say that, oh, well, we need to continue to strive through progress, it's like the way they've said it, it's like they're throwing all of the progress we've made out the window. And I've said this before, but people need to slow down every once in a while and look at what good has happened over the past 50 years. You know, granted, not everything's perfect, but 50 years ago, we desegregated schools. 50 years ago, we made a promise to go to the moon. That doesn't necessarily relate to racial relations, but still, it's something to bring up. 50 years ago, you know, Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech took place. Things aren't perfect, but let's remember the good that's been done so far, and let's use the good to continue our push forward for equality. Instead of saying, well, cops are bad, black people have it so unfair. Black people here in America have it so much better than black people in the third world. And I mean, I think Jeff, can you attest to that? Am I totally off base? You've been to Haiti.
That Americans, black or white, have a better life than those in foreign third world countries. Yeah. Yeah, I hate the phrase that we live in poor America. We don't live in poor America. I'm on Skype with a friend of mine across the freaking country in an air-conditioned place with electricity, with internet, with all these things. I have water at my disposal that won't make me sick. I have food tonight. And guess what? That's over half of this country. That's over 3/4. That's more than 3/4 of this country. You can go to almost any house. Now, I understand there are parts of the city that don't have that, but we want to bring internet to houses like it's electricity. Most people have electricity in their houses. Heck, most people have houses. We do not live in a poor country. So all the black people saying, "Oh, we're just being oppressed like the third world." Shut up. No, you're not.
Even the low-income housing in the projects to a third world family in Africa, one of the houses in the projects, and I'm not saying I know anything about living in the projects or in the hood, as they say, because I don't. But I can guarantee you that almost any house in the quote-unquote hood or the projects or, whatever else they're calling it would probably look like a palace compared to Africa or
Haiti.
Haiti or any of the other third world countries, Sierra Leone. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Now, here's another thing that really irritates me. Is it's not just there is inequality everywhere. It's not just African Americans who have this problem. It's not even Hispanics. I face prejudice and inequality at times because I'm handicapped. Not necessarily from society in general, but there are people who make rude and sometimes offensive comments. I don't feel the need to go and riot and get a jousting stick and put spikes on my wheelchair and start riding and running over cops or anything like that. Although that might be cool to do. Just the visual of that now as I think about it is extremely cool looking. But there is equality. We all face inequality at certain times. I know that Jeff and probably Matt and each one of us have gotten, picked on for being conservative. It's not anything exclusive to black people. And this whole idea that they're the ones getting exclusively targeted for prejudice, you need to open your eyes and realize that there is a much bigger world out there besides just you guys getting oppressed.
Like what you're saying about a mansion in Africa being a small house here. If you've never been to a third world country, you have no idea what houses are like there. The average house that you could see on a normal street in Haiti, I know personally, are 4 sticks and a piece of wood above the sticks. That's an average house. That's during the wet season, during the dry season, whatever. And these people are going around saying, "Oh, we're being prejudiced and we're being looked upon by the police in a negative light." No. Get over yourself. You're not that bad. You're in America, the greatest country in the world. Now, you can debate about that, but Zach made a really good point. He said, "Sam and Jeff, I think the real issue here is that it's crystal clear that Michael Brown was entirely in the wrong and gave the cop no choice but to shoot him. The issue is a false narrative spun by police with people. Sorry, I'm messing myself up. The issue is the false narrative spun by people with a social political agenda in the face of incontrollable facts. Why do they plunge ahead in their hands up, don't shoot narrative? That's the reason for this hint. It's the same reason as the false narrative of healthcare. Is to show that the American left goes about manipulating society to achieve its end. And then we have the Portland arrests, but the important thing is that there was another riot, and police reported early Sunday, and this was, I believe, updated today. They arrested 10 people in Saturday night's Ferguson verdict protests across downtown Portland. It's the Southwest's second. It was 2 major streets and just people acting stupid. And you know what? Arrest them all. That's what I say.
I would completely agree. Getting back.
Oh, and does Detroit count as a third world country? I count yes.
Yeah, well, that said, even our third world countries are way better than the third world countries of other places. Now, here's the other thing. This is getting back to a point that I wanted to make earlier. A lot of people have been complaining out, well, why didn't Brown just shoot him 1 or 2 times? Why did he shoot him 6 times? Okay, you've got a big guy, probably at like 200 pounds, let's just say 150. Big strapping guy coming at you. You have a gun. And Jeff, do you know how long it takes me to fire off 6 shots?
Depending on the gun, I don't really know what weapon he used. It could happen fairly fast, but here's the issue that a lot of people aren't seeing. Let me Google it. How many shots in Ferguson? And I'm pretty sure if somebody in the chat could tell us how many shots were fired and how many shots were hit. Not every shot will hit, and that's the important part. And
right.
If you have somebody charging you, people always say, well, just shoot him in the leg or shoot him in the shoulder or something. You don't have to kill him.
Right.
As a police officer, you are trained to fire to kill. You are not trained to fire. You're not told to fire until whatever. You're told to fire to kill. Eric says that there were 12 shots fired, and Zach said 10 and 6. So 10 shots fired, 4 missed, 6 were hit. Now, if you're doing the math right, that means 60% of his shots hit him. If you're doing his school math class grading, he got a D. He didn't do so hot. With stating that, I'm not trying to make light of the situation. What I'm saying is he didn't really make a good couple of shots.
Right. Right. Well, and the other thing is the whole reason why I brought this up is I have a friend who is 2 years older than me, and she was in the Marine Corps after she graduated high school, and we've kept in contact. And she posted, because she was seeing a whole bunch of comments, it's interesting to hear it from a Marine's perspective, from an armed serviceman's perspective. She was trained with to use the same type of handgun as law enforcement was. It's not that hard to fire off 6 shots at a blank target when you're, set up for it. She said it takes her less than 3 seconds to fire off 6 shots. And that was her point, is, it's not like when Darren Wilson shot Michael Brown, it was a secondary reaction to him defending himself. It wasn't like he actually counted the shots. It's just a secondary nature for police and military personnel. And you can do it fairly fast. I mean, just now I was pulling my finger back in a triggering motion 6 times, and it took me less than 3 seconds to just do that. So it's not implausible at all. And so you don't even have recoil. Like, the gun recoils. I can't even find what kind of gun they used, if anybody knows. But yeah, you don't even have recoil. And here's the important part. Wilson said that he, quote, felt like a 5-year-old holding onto Hulk Hogan, end quote, while he was attempting to restrain Brown and when he reached through the police car window. So, I mean, this kid is not innocent. You can't go around saying, oh, they just shot him for no reason. He stole $48 box of cigarettes and physically assaulted the store clerk. This guy is, like Zach said, is totally in the wrong. You can't flip it to say, well, he was in the right. I mean, the cigarettes were earned to him, and then he thought the price was wrong and decided to give himself a discount. There's no way of turning this into a positive way for Michael Brown. Yeah, there is absolutely. I mean, look, people are trying to turn this into a right for Michael Brown, but regardless, the fact of it is, there was just no way he was in the right on this. Now, if you think we're being harsh in any way, please email us, tweet us, call the phone number, and scream obscenities at us. I really don't care at this point. At this point, if you are of that opinion, I'll probably just give you the middle finger. But if you think we're being mean about this, check out the video that I forget his last name, Kevin. I forget his last name. I think it's like Kevin
Spacey. No.
No, it's like Kevin. Like I want to say it's Kevin. I want to say it's like Kevin Loudon, but that's not it.
I put in the word Kevin, and Kevin Hart, Durant, Spacey, and Gates come up. So if that helps you at all.
Well, I thought you had the video queued up and watched together already.
Oh, that guy's name is Jonathan.
Oh yeah, Jonathan
Gentry or something like that.
Yeah, Jonathan Gentry. I don't know why. I don't know why I thought his name was Kevin. But anyway, so this guy Jonathan Gentry made a. So yeah, just forget the Kevin. That was the gaffe on my part. Kevin. I mean, yeah, Jonathan Gentry made this video the other day that I think really summarizes from his point of view as a black man what the whole problem with Ferguson is. So let's take away.
Well, before we even start, there's a question in the chat. Can you guys scream obscenities at us just for the fun of it? And the answer is absolutely yes. Please, you can go ahead and scream. Just yell at us for no reason, please.
So they want us to scream obscenities at them?
No. They were asking if they could scream at us, just random obscenities, even if they don't disagree with us. And the answer to that is yes, please.
Oh yeah, here at NGC, in case you haven't noticed, we don't follow the FCC, so we're
nah.
It's I'm
losing Sam. I think what he was asking was, here at NGC Media, we don't necessarily follow the FCC regulations, so you guys can go ahead and you can swear your little mouths off. We'll record the voicemail, and we'll start playing it. So even if you absolutely agree with everything we're saying, you can go ahead and yell at us and say some obscene things about us. That's fine. I don't care. Sam doesn't care. And I think it would be fun to play some hate mail from our own fans, but maybe that's just me. Looks like I'm actually having a connection issue tonight. It should still be picking up my voice. I'm going to go to SpeedNet while I'll connect back to Sam. My internet's kicked back on. If everybody can, on the chat, tell me if you can still hear me. And, Sam is back, and we are live and getting ready to go. I just told them that that we don't follow FCC regulation, or as Eric says, F the FCC, but different words. I don't personally swear on air, but we don't follow those, so you guys can go ahead and swear your obscenities to us, and we'll play it on air for you.
Yeah, so Jonathan Gentry, I think, had this great point about the Ferguson result, and I don't want to play the entire thing, but I want to play a pretty good portion of it. So this is Jonathan Gentry talking about Ferguson. Cut number one.
Everyone is Jonathan. I just want to get straight to the point about this Michael Brown incident. Let me tell you something, and I said this before. What we're doing out here is not helping. Us rioting, looting, burning down donut shops and stores and everything else, liquor stores, Shanae's hair salon for the extensions. This is not helping. Us acting a fool out here because we pissed off at the police is not helping. I said this before and I said it again. Change is not gonna come until we change it. You understand what I'm saying? This is not helping. Change isn't gonna come until we change it. All we know how to do is march and riot and loot. This is not helping. What you guys are out here doing is not helping, and I hate to say this, but I'm gonna tell you what you need to hear imposing to what you wanna hear. All we know how to do is blame the police and white folks for our actions. That's all we know how to do is blame police and white folks. They mistreating us. They beating on us. Oh, slavery still exists. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm not going to tell you we going to march, we going to do this, we going to do that. I'm going to tell you, damn it, let's change. Let's change as black people. When is this going to stop? When? How are our children supposed to grow up when we out here acting a stone fool? How are our kids supposed to grow up when we out here acting stupid? How? How? Even the book of Deuteronomy in chapter 2 verse 3, God said, we have toiled this mountain long enough. We have toiled this mountain long enough. 40 plus years they spent in the wilderness. It's been over 50 years since we sang that song, We Shall Overcome. Hell, when are we gonna overcome? When? That was 50 plus years ago, and all we doing is going around in circles. Going around in circles. You activists out there, you civil rights leaders, all of a sudden Black Panthers, NAACP come out the woodworks. They just came out of nowhere. Oh, we don't want justice. We want justice. No justice, no peace. That's all you see. No justice, no peace. Shut up. When there was 60 plus shootings in Chicago a few weeks back, where were you? Nowhere to be found. A few weeks later, it was 47 drive-bys in one weekend. Where were you? Nowhere to be found. When Lil Ray kills Little Lukey, where were you? Nowhere to be found. Okay, when them little girl was shot when she was riding her tricycle in the front yard and stray bullets hit her, where were you? Nowhere to be found. Police beat up on a black man. Oh, slavery still exists. Slavery still exists. Oh, shut up. Because I hate to say this, and I know this is going to piss a lot of people off. All the incidents I seen, all the brothers was resisting arrest and causing trouble. Okay? Hate to tell the truth. Hate to tell the truth. Because I want to debunk that myth as far as being young and black and mistreated. I'm young, black, I drive a brand new BMW and live in the valley. How many encounters have I had with the police? Many. How many times has it got out of control? None. 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 So I want to debunk that myth about us getting mistreated and slavery. Oh, all they know how to do is beat on the black man. Nonsense. Nonsense. Because I had many encounters with the police and I became good friends with them. Tell me how come I could live that life and you can't? Tell me. It's time for us to change as black people. Marching ain't cutting it. All you civil rights leaders, all you jokers out there telling us, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that. We need to change. The book of Deuteronomy, I said again, chapter 2, verse 3, God said, we have toiled this mountain long enough, go northeast. It's time for us to change. Change as black people. And I'm not talking about that Obama change, because we still waiting for that change. That's a whole nother video, but we still waiting on that. That silly joker ain't said nothing about none of this. It's time for us to change. You civil rights leaders, it's time for you to hear from God and get a revelation. We need to change our sense of direction. Jesus said the blind can't lead the blind because they both gonna fall in the ditch.
Stop,
Matthew 5.
Okay, so... ladies and gentlemen, you kind of get the point. By the way...
Wait, Sam. Mm-hmm. Slow clap. Because this man actually has the cojones to talk against Ferguson. And you know what? This guy's a racist.
This guy is somehow black, and he's a racist towards black people. What?
Definitely.
I'll say that again. He's black, but he's a racist against black people. No, in all seriousness, though, first of all, also, I think that in terms of pissed off black dudes, like, he could replace Samuel L. Jackson, like Sam Jackson always gets the credits for being the pissed off black dude, but,
this guy's gonna make him run for his money, I'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah. And I wanted to end the hour on that because, honestly, that's the overall point. Enough with the rioting, enough with the protesting from both white people and black people on this. You want to see change? You want to see actual change happen regarding race relations? Here's what we do. We stop talking about it altogether. Yeah, that's right. I said it. Let's stop talking about race and racial relations altogether. And let's just start acting responsible. Yes, there will forever be instances of individual racism, and no amount of legislation, no amount of civil rights will ever fix that as a society. But you, the individual, can fix that. And if we just treat each other more decently, if we follow the law, if we stopped committing crimes and then blaming our upbringings and bad neighborhoods or, on our abusive parents or whatever the case may be, that would improve a lot of things too. I don't think I've said anything here tonight in that last statement or anything here tonight that has been off key at all. And I think a lot of people in the chat room have made some good points. So can we please move past racism truly once and for all? The only ones who are keeping us stuck in this racism debate, ironically, are the civil rights leaders who, like Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, who ironically were fighting for it 40 years ago. And I think one of the big reasons why we're still stuck in this, like, America's racist deal is because if we didn't have that, they'd be out of a job, because that's literally all they know how to do is protest and get angry. But if their jobs had truly ended like 40 years ago, they would have been out of a job. I know that sounds cynical, but that's the way I feel. So anyway, that's our feeling on hour number. That's our feeling on Ferguson. And Jeff, do you have any final statements?
It's easier to live in slavery because at least in slavery you know what is going to happen. I heard a pastor say that once, and it wasn't about Ferguson or black people. It was what Jesus was talking about. It was not necessarily Jesus, but it was, Jesus came and we don't have to follow the law because we're now under grace. People say that all the time. But here's the important part. We are under grace so that we now have freedom from the slavery that sin had upon us. But it's easier to live in the sin because we don't know what freedom looks like. And that's what the black community is after. They don't know what freedom is like. And it's not because of America's wrongdoing. It's not because of this and that. Maybe 30, 40, 50 years ago you could have said that. But nowadays, they know what freedom could look like, but they are afraid to get there. Because then they'll have to be accountable. It's like growing up. You don't want to grow up because if you grow up, oh man, you have to pay bills and go to work and stuff. That's why there's Peter Pan, who never grows up, because people are afraid of change. And that's the issue. We are afraid as people All people, we are afraid of change, and we will never change unless if we actually get off of our butts and move. If we actually get up and we move and we do things to change, if we, instead of rioting in the streets, if we go to our child's parent-teacher conference and find out how good our kid is doing at school, or if they're interrupting the class, if we take ownership of the children that we have, if we don't just have abortions because, I don't feel like having a kid right now and being selfish about it. If we don't stop doing this and we continuously live in this slavery state, we're screwed. We will never advance as human beings. We will never advance as a black community. We will never advance as the white community because we will constantly be blaming the other side for not stepping up. And if you think that America is the big bad group, if you think that, you have a world of change to happen. When are you going to change? And the answer, never. You will never change because sin, slavery in this sense, is easier because you at least know what is expected of you.
Wow, very well put. I can't think of anything left to say. So, I will leave you with this. Happy Life Day, Jeff, and I'll explain what that means in just a sec. Because we'll be going to a galaxy far, far away, coming up in hour number 2. So we'll be right back, and you're listening to the NGC Radio Network.
Keith Olbermann still cries over the fact that a teenager outwitted him on Twitter. Follow Sam on Twitter at SamW_NGC.
Hello friends, Jeff Hamill here. The holiday season is officially upon us, and that means it is time to go out and buy gifts for your friends and relatives. The holiday season is officially upon us, and that means it is time to go out and buy gifts for your friends and relatives. Charging station. The greatest gift you can give your loved ones is a power bank from Octopod.com. Power bank is a portable charging station. Check out the Ion 10, Ion 3, and Ion Solar Power Bank. Again, their website is octo-pod.com, Ion 3, and Ion Solar Power Bank. NGC is powered by octopod.com/NGC. And remember, NGC is powered by Octopod.
The liberal left thought they had won the war over the millennial generation. Conservatives feared that the founding ideals were dead. They weren't counting on Sam Whitfield to try and stop them. Broadcasting live, it's Hour 2 of the Whitfield Analysis with your host, Sam Whitfield.
Time ago, in a movie review podcast not so far away. Welcome to the Whitfield Analysis Star Wars Return Mega Special. I am your host, Sam Whitfield, broadcasting live from the Intergalactic Broadcast Command here at NGC Studios, and I am joined by Jedi Master Jeff Hamill. We are so glad that you are here to join us tonight for our very special episode. Kill the music. Okay, there we go. Just don't want to infringe on copyrights. Nevertheless, welcome to the show. This is
best way to start an episode is with connection issues. But welcome, my friends. Welcome, Sam's friends as well, to hour number 2 with Mr. Sam Whitfield, as always. And I'm Jeff Hamill. I'm your producer, trying to talk while Sam is having some connection issues. Are you back, Sam? Doesn't sound like he is. So let me call him back. And I'm just going to go ahead and talk about the contact info, as always, because Sam always likes to talk about the contact. Oh, he's back to talk about his contact information.
No, I'm too lazy. I had to go kill some Imperial stormtroopers. So that's why I wasn't there for a sec. Anyway, though, folks, like I was beginning to say, you can contact the Intergalactic Network here at 941-564-5805. That's how you can call us. You can use the intergalactic email address, samwhitfield@ngcmedia.net, and you can use the force to tweet us at samw_NGC, hashtag WRadio Show, hashtag Star Wars Episode VII. And as I said before, Jedi Master Hamill is with us as well. We have
which is super funny that you said my last name from the original Star Wars. If you guys are big fans,
yes. And
if you don't get my how do I say what I'm talking about? If you don't understand, Hamill is Mark Hamill, which is the actor of Luke Skywalker in the original series. So obviously, you know where I stand with in terms of Star Wars, loving or not. Obviously,
sure.
I love Star Wars.
Sure. Now, you and I have had this discussion off air, but you're related to him in some way, or do you not?
I have no idea how. I'm going to assume that we are, because there's like 30 Hamills on the planet, and I don't know any other way that we couldn't be that we couldn't be related somehow. I mean, he's a super huge lib in Los Angeles, but besides that, we are definitely we have to be connected somehow on the gene line.
Well, and we're forgiving him for his political opinions because he played Luke Skywalker, one of the greatest movie characters, and he also played the Joker. He's actually played the Joker for like 25 years now, or something like that, which is pretty amazing. But we have a jam-packed show for you here tonight. We have a couple of friends joining us. We will have Eric Parashos, friend of the Whitfield Analysis for a long time. He'll be joining us here in just a couple moments. And then also, we have a very special guest, film critic / independent filmmaker / friend of the Dennis Miller Show and friend of the Whitfield Analysis, Mr. Richard Diaz, who is probably one of the biggest Star Wars fans that I know of, and he has graciously agreed to join us live here in a few minutes. But I want to begin off with just saying that Star Wars is returning after, I think, probably after a 10-year hiatus, because the last Star Wars film that was released was Revenge of the Sith in 2005. So it will have been about 10 years exactly once Episode VII comes out. I'm super excited. And there is one question I want to ask everyone here in the chat. This will kind of be a reoccurring question, but when was the first time that you guys ever saw Star Wars? Everyone remembers the first time that they saw Star Wars. For me, I'm going to try to make this quick. It was when I was 5 years old, and my mother actually forced me to watch it, because now this is the way she tells the story. I don't quite remember how it all went down myself, but she tells me that I was a big fan of the Buzz Lightyear character from Star Wars, and I guess they made like a couple of scenes in Toy Story that were like parroting Star Wars, and I guess I had made like some statement that like Star Wars was a ripoff of Toy Story or something like that. And so she made me watch Star Wars, and at first I was terrified of Darth Vader. That part I do remember, I mean, because I was 5 years old at the time. But after seeing New Hope, I loved it, and I couldn't wait to see the other two. And she didn't tell me that there were two others. So, like, once the film was over, I said, I must have said something like, "Mommy, I love that." And then she told me that there were two more, and I'm like, "There's two more?" And so that was the first time I saw Star Wars. I don't remember much other than just loving it the first time, and I think I try and watch that movie 2 or 3 times a year, the entire original trilogy. I just fell in love with the film. I also was fortunate enough to where my parents owned the original VHS set before all the special editions, before all the re-edits and everything else. So that was the first time I saw Star Wars. Jeff, well, do you have a Star Wars story? When was the first time you saw Star Wars? Do you remember anything about that? Or
now, I'm kind of like, if you ask me where I was on 9/11, I have no idea. If you ask me when the first time I watched Star Wars, I have no idea. Kind of the same thing. But to be honest, I was to the point where I remember, again, a huge Toy Story fan when I was a kid. Loved it. I actually had to watch it every night before bed, or I wouldn't sleep. And that happened for like 3 years or something crazy like that, like nuts. And so I was a huge Toy Story fan, and then I decided to start watching Star Wars. I think my dad was watching it or something. I think he was watching episode 5 or 6, and which, if you're a realist, that's episodes 2 and 3 of the original series. And so he started watching it, and I think I sat down and watched it. He said, "I think we should start watching from episode 1, like episode 4." And so we watched them, and my dad told me about the main character. And I remember watching episode number 3, the second set, like episode number 3, where I was at a friend's birthday, and we ended up watching it in his basement when they first put in a movie theater for his birthday, and like 7 of us were hanging out. I mean, I loved Star Wars. I have gone back recently and rewatched them, and episodes 1 and 2 are fairly slow, which I'm not a big fan of slow movies, but like going back, it was down memory lane from when I was a kid. And I remember when episode 3 released, because it was like the local theater closed down and then reopened and played the entire, like, they played from midnight to like 5 a.m. They just continuously played it, and they were sold out every time.
Right. I remember when episode 3 came out, when episode 2 came out, it came out on a weekend, so there wasn't, that was perfect anyway. So I remember going with a group of friends to see episode 2 when it came out, but I also remember when episode 3 came out on like a Friday. And I remember that specifically because it was me, my parents, who were divorced at that point, so but we went to see it together, and then I think we took like a friend or two, and we boycotted. We ditched school for that day, and we saw Star Wars like first thing in the morning, missed the entire morning set of classes. We went back to like afternoon classes at my school, and there were only like 3 left, and then there was only like 2 left, and then like an assembly, and then to top it off, there was like a 4-day weekend coming up. So like that weekend I remember specifically just because it was like, in terms of like weekend perfection. Like there wasn't any other way that weekend could have been perfect in the mind of a fifth grader at that time. But like I owned all the action figures. I owned I remember I owned all the video games, like all the comic books. If it was Star Wars when I was a kid, I had it. I'm just that in love with the series, and I think that's the way a lot of people feel. So we have a.
Man, you make me look like a chump fan. I don't have any like action figures and stuff.
Well, Matt Dallas makes us both look like a chump fan. Like he doesn't make he doesn't make me feel like a chump fan because I also had like a lot of stuff. But like even now, like he and Kyle Winter both like quote stuff with like the expanded universe. I'm like, what's that? Like, I'm a pretty diehard Star Wars fan, and like Matt just totally, crushes me in terms of Star Wars knowledge. But anyway, nevertheless, we have a live guest on, I think, at this point. Or are we still waiting for?
Do you want me to bring him on?
Yeah, let's. So we have a very special guest. Richard Diaz is going to be joining us in a little bit, and then Eric Parashos will join in for his interview shortly after. So stick around for those. And the episode's
ready to go when you are.
The episode VII trailer was recently released, so we'll be talking to both gentlemen about their thoughts on Star Wars in general, and then about episode 7. And whatever your Star Wars related thoughts are in the chat room, please post them and we'll read them as well. But for right now, I'd like to welcome our very special guest, Richard Diaz. And
1 second. He is now being added to the call. He should be here any second now.
Okay. Special guest, Richard Diaz. And
all right, Richard Diaz, you are now on air. If you could please mute the stream so we can hear you and not us.
Yes, I'm trying to figure that out. Hold on 1 second there.
It's on the left-hand side of the Mixer page.
There we go. Is that better?
Volume button. Yeah, I don't hear anymore. Sam,
okay.
Are you good?
It's perfect.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Great. Welcome to the Whitfield analysis, my friend. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
My pleasure. I am super psyched up for the Star Wars trailer that just came out, and I imagine you are too.
Yes. It's kind of one of those where when when I was a kid and the original trilogy, after Jedi ended, you always heard rumblings of episodes, 7, 8, 9. And after a while, it was just like, oh, well, all right, those will never happen. And so the fact that we're actually here at the point where, we actually have an actual trailer for episode 7 is just, it's nuts. It's like, the ultimate sort of, boyhood Star Wars fan moment actually become reality.
So, for those who don't know who you are, can you briefly, before we get into Star Wars chat, just kind of explain what you do? Didn't you mention that you have like some independent filmmaking that you do?
Yes, I'm a independent filmmaker, as best as someone can be. Usually it's followed by like, oh, well, what have you done? And it's like, well, I can, I've done a lot of things, but just just not stuff that unfortunately anyone can like go to Netflix and see. I'm sort of early on in the, I've been doing it for a long time, but the stuff
right.
I've done, it's been just gotten into festivals and things like that. So, hopefully that'll change. I'm still eyeing for that, maybe episode 9, directing seat.
Yeah, here's hoping that J.J. Abrams picks you. So Anyway, though, you also have a video series called Vague Ramblings, I believe it is.
Yes,
and
which I'm quite behind on.
Yeah. Well, what gives on that? But
I think
you.
Yeah.
You mentioned to me at one point that you were a big Star Wars fan, and I kind of just that's why I wanted to bring you on. So, first off, what was your earliest memory of watching Star Wars? Do you remember at all?
Actually, I do. I was going on 4 years old, and my parents took my sister and I to go see the original Star Wars back when it was still just, no Episode 4, just A New Hope back in 1977, the summer it came out. And while I was too young to really understand, sort of a lot of stuff, just the visual impact of it was a life-changing thing for me. I mean, I literally walked out of the theater that day just enamored with movies and just sort of visual storytelling. And that really started not only my love of Star Wars, but even my love of movies. Because from that moment on, I was completely just infatuated with movies.
I would, I was just saying a moment ago before you came on and before we went on air to Jeff, for me, and you and I have discussed this on Twitter, I think for me, Star Wars, and for a lot of people, was the beginning of my love of film, and for a lot of people in our circles as well. Now, the really interesting thing about you, and the real interesting thing I think about a lot of people kind of in our Twitter circle, is you don't hate, unlike a lot of Star Wars fans I know, you do not hate the prequels as much as other people do.
That is true. Actually, I don't have any hate towards the prequels. And I guess because having grown up with the films and sort of with that universe, to go back there and see the beginnings of a lot of those characters and everything, I guess I didn't, when I went, for example, when Episode 1 came out, I didn't go into it with the expectations of this is the film that's going to change my life. I already had that, when the original Star Wars came out. So I was able to just sit back and watch it. And actually, because
I'm sorry, friends. We're having some connection issues again tonight. Actually, I can see that they're coming through. I just can't hear a single thing that they're saying. Let me restart the conversation. That's really weird. I could see that they're talking. I just can't hear what they're saying.
Okay, there. Can you hear me now?
We're back.
Awesome.
Connection issues as always.
Okay, no problem. So I'm sorry. I know I was sort of rambling there for a second. What was the last thing you heard me say before we?
We were talking about how you don't hate the prequels, and I think you began mentioning about how you didn't go into Episode 1 with any expectations.
Yes. Yeah, and that was, I think, the key, which is why from the get-go I enjoyed the prequels for what they were. And I think, once you and the problem is, too, is there was such a bandwagon to sort of jump on and sort of rip on them. And it's only gotten worse as the years have gone by. Right. And I've had a lot of friends who were kind of on that bandwagon, and they would go, and a couple of them went back recently and watched the prequels and ended up really liking them. I mean, everyone pretty much loves Episode 3, but the first two, they were just well, actually, this is not anywhere what I, thought it was. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of the thing. So for me, and I had a friend of mine who is also a big Star Wars fan, he and I were able to kind of talk about it as soon as we each saw the film, and I think that helped too, because we put it directly in context with the overall story. So it really made us really appreciate everything that was kind of going on. It's like it's easy to look past sort of the shortcomings of the stuff that's there. I mean, I'm not in denial of some of the shortcomings of Jar Jar. I don't know. Jar Jar doesn't bother me anymore. Like, I can watch the film and I'm not sitting here like, digging my nails into my arms or anything. And honestly, I didn't really do that when I saw it the first time. What I mainly found was that there was a lot of unnecessary humor.
Right.
And I think everyone kind of jumped on that, and sort of that became sort of the, sort of the thing that everyone sort of went after.
Right, but it didn't necessarily hang you up per se.
No. Honestly,
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If you had to live in this alternate universe, would you look or sound like Jar Jar Binks? Which one would you prefer? That's a test of a true fan.
You know what? If it came down to it, I would say look like him.
Oh, I would so sound like him, because then I would be on so many talk shows and stuff.
Yeah, but you're Jeff. You're already on the greatest talk show based on
that is true. That is true
on the internet, though. So that's definitely a good question. Now, regarding the re-edits. Regarding the re-edits of the original trilogy, any comments on those? Having seen the originals?
It's kind of the same thing where I don't actually have a problem with them for the most part. I would be in agreement with, most people where it's like, if the original versions were released alongside the special editions, I don't think anyone, it's like, who kind of cares? I think the reason, because he didn't release the original versions, especially over the last 10 years or so, I think that's really what's kind of caused a lot of the backlash over them.
Yeah.
I really wish he did almost like what Ridley Scott did with like Blade Runner. He was like, here's all versions, you get whichever version you like, here, go and watch that version.
Right.
And I think that's really what is missing. I think Lucas should have done from the get-go what Peter Jackson has done with Lord of the Rings, where he's basically said, here, the theatrical versions are not changing. Here are the theatrical versions, and they're not, how many times they get re-released, they are how they were when they were originally released theatrically. The extended versions, he can tweak if he wants to all day long, from now till the day he dies. And I think Lucas should have also had that distinction. Like, here's the theatrical one for you guys that want one, and then here's the version that I want to kind of tweak for as long as I can.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. I mean, I think that's where a lot of the Lucas hate begins, is the fact that he didn't release the original theatrical versions, along with the special editions. I think that's what really annoys a lot of people. I mean, and that does even annoy me to a certain extent, because even though I like the special editions, I think that we should have the option to view both.
Yep, I agree totally.
Yeah. Now, also, Richard, I hope you don't mind. Another one of my friends has asked to join us. He's a big Star Wars fan as well, and I kind of wanted to get a round table going. So, okay. Jeff, you can, and in fact, add Jedi Master Dallas here. Let's see.
I added him to the call, so he should be here any second now. I like this idea of the round table. Sounds like another podcast we started, Sam.
Yes, yeah, sounds like a podcast that we've kind of been trying to do, but haven't really had much success with. Anyway, though,
when he gets here, we can add him to the conversation.
Yeah.
But you can go ahead and give next question.
I guess the big question I wanted to get to is obviously what did you think of the trailer, and that's kind of why I wanted a roundtable.
Hello, everybody. I'm here. Can you guys hear me all right?
Matt Dallas.
All right. Good deal.
All right. So, Mr. Dallas, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me, Sam.
Not a problem. And you're on with my friend Richard, who has been talking Star Wars with us.
Yeah, I've been
for
listening.
a while. So,
hey, how you doing?
Good.
So I hope you don't mind if I ask you kind of the same questions that I just did with Richard, which was, do you remember the first time you watched Star Wars?
Yeah, and first off, I apologize for my audio quality. I'm calling in from a cell phone. But, yeah, I actually vividly remember the first time I watched Star Wars. I remember I was actually like 9 years old when I first saw it. I was really like anti going to watch it when I was a little kid because I thought, oh, that's for dorks and stuff like that. But my dad finally beat it into me that we were going to watch Star Wars. And I remember going to the Blockbuster. Yes, it was a Blockbuster, and we rented a VHS. And we came home and watched it. I just remember, I mean, thinking that the fact that it came out in 1977 and how amazing the special effects were and how amazing all that stuff was. And granted, I think it was like one of the first remastered versions, but I was just enthralled, and I bought every lightsaber toy, and I went out and rented all the rest of the movies, and I had like, in a week, I just binged on everything Star Wars. And then that all led up to me seeing Revenge of the Sith at the theaters shortly thereafter.
Right. So you and I have talked about this in depth. You and I kind of both go back and forth on the prequels somewhat, where we don't hate the prequels, but everyone has issues with them, it seems, in some small way.
All right. What I will say is, and this is something about me, I'm a big EU guy. I look at Star Wars as a 50,000 year thing. I mean, that's just kind of how it is for me. That's because I got into Knights of the Old Republic, all the books, all the video games.
Right.
I got really into it. The prequels, to me, take on a much deeper meaning because, you know, like when Yoda in Episode 1 says, only two, there could be no more, no less, you know, having read the Darth Bane books and understanding why that is, that has a deeper meaning for me. What I will say about the prequels is there's the only one of the prequels that I actually take any issue with is Episode 2. And I thought, and the reason behind that is I thought, if the prequels were supposed to be about Anakin, the first movie was about finding Anakin. The third movie was about Anakin's fall from grace, and then the second movie was about trade disputes, a clone army, and then Anakin creeping on Padme for a good chunk of the movie. And it was through dialogue. Yeah. So that's my issue, and I think Lucas kind of, for Episode 2, got into too much tell, don't show storytelling, rather than, I mean, there was no cinematic tension, there was nothing, it was just kind of, here is the stopgap between 1 and 3, because we can't just have this little kid all of a sudden be Episode 3 Anakin.
Right. I mean, I will admit there are certain parts, and I'm with you, Matt, also where I'm starting to get into the EU stuff. So timeline-wise, it seems like there's a lot there that is missing. I personally like to...
The biggest thing you need to realize is the movies are... The EU's based on the movies, not the other way around.
Right.
Some people tend to get that sometimes.
Right. And then, like, episode 3 I liked, and then the re-edits I don't really have a problem with, other than, like, what Richard said. I wish Lucas had, released the theatrical versions along with the special editions.
Right. My stance on the re-edits is, being someone who's seen episodes 4, 5, and 6 so many times, I hardly don't even really notice any of the re-edits just because the movie's kind of playing in my head more than it is on the screen.
Right. I didn't actually notice any of the re-edits until like I saw one of the YouTube videos that explained like where they were at. So
right. There's a couple things like, the whole hand shot first debate. Most people would be surprised at being as big a Star Wars guy as I am. I don't really care who shot first. It really doesn't change anything one way or the other for me. People that let that ruin their day.
Yeah, I mean that scene ends the same way. So I mean it is kind of ridiculous. The Jabba scene is really the only one that bothers me, just kind of because Jabba was the big reveal on episode 6, and that's what we all know.
Right. I do take issue with it there. Lucas would probably argue that it adds a little more depth to the Jabba character, but I do like it in that I do like the original in that what is this Jabba the Hutt guy? And then he doesn't disappoint when you actually do see him.
Mm-hmm. I would completely agree.
And I actually don't mind the most recent edit, the most recent Jabba the Hutt that they put in that scene. The first time they did it, when it was that like animatronic nightmare, that was a problem. But now the new one that looks like the one in episode 1 and stuff like that isn't as much of an issue for me.
Yeah, and that's mostly just because of computer graphics.
Right.
Right.
Although, with the new trailer coming out, you have no idea how excited I am.
Right. And that's kind of the big question, why we're all joined here today for the round panel. What did you think of the episode 7 trailer?
Well, you guys go ahead. I'll kind of, I want to hear what you guys have to think.
Well, first off, kind of as background to this, Matt and I we're really good friends outside of NGC, and so we talk Star Wars stuff all the time. And we kept sending each other stuff, like, we thought the trailers were released beforehand, so we kept sending each other what turned out to be fan trailers. And then Matt finally sent me the actual trailer, and like I think my heart stopped for like 2 seconds at one point, just because it was just a heart stopper. I mean, I really just can't. Like, I remember just watching it for like the 86 seconds, and the thing of it is, those were probably like the longest 86 seconds of my life. Just like watching it, and then like, did I really just see what I thought I saw?
Right. What excited me most about the trailer, and not many people actually talked about this, they pumped up the fan base big time, and it was awesome. And they didn't even show Hamill, Ford, or Fisher at all.
Right. Well, at least we don't think they did. Now, I have a theory that I haven't really made public yet, but one of the main cast members, namely Luke, could be the one with the red lightsaber, but we don't know why.
No, he's not. Mark Hamill is not that thin. But I actually, my suspicion, for those of you who know who the cast members are, I am 95% sure it's Adam Driver.
Mm-hmm.
Because seeing a few things he's done just on YouTube and the way he is and his style, he fits that role perfectly.
Mm-hmm. But just overall reactions to the trailer, I mean, I was just blown away. The only thing, and I mean, this is just kind of nitpicking, and it doesn't really matter much to me now, but I would have liked to have seen like some space shots or something. Maybe like a little bit more of the lightsaber and less of the droids, but that's just kind of like an afterthought for me.
To me, I would have rather not seen that. I almost wish they hadn't revealed kind of the villain at all, because I want to be completely surprised. Because the thing is let's be honest, the movies have absolute amazing rewatch value, every single one of them. But they, you kind of got into a point where you've seen them so much. But, I've been kind of rambling here. I'd like to hear what Richard has to say.
Yes.
No, actually, I'm pretty much in agreement where it's the I think the key is the fact that we're probably not going to get a full trailer until May or something. So for a teaser trailer, I think they actually did a really great job as far as here's something that's familiar but kind of new, and here's and then here's X-Wings, and here's the Millennium Falcon and everything. But it's interesting because I'm trying to avoid reading anything about the movies. I literally want to try as best I can to go into this knowing as little as possible, so that whatever they decide to show me in the trailer or commercial is all I'm going to know. So I'm hoping that they don't ruin too much. So and I'm even trying to avoid myself from speculating, because I do the exact same thing where I'm looking at that, I'm like, I wonder if that's so-and-so, and I wonder if that, it's like, I'm even trying to keep myself from getting too much into it, so I can actually try and go into it just a fan and just sit back and just sort of enjoy it. Because I know I'm going to see it 20 times in the theater.
Right.
I'm going to lose so... Does anybody have any idea how big of a year 2015 is going to be for movies?
Oh, it's going to be
well, yeah. I mean, Jurassic Park.
There's more than just Jurassic Park. Avengers 2 is coming out.
Right.
There's a new SpongeBob movie, so that's a thing. New Mission Impossible. Then there's going to be a new Taken. There's going to be a new Pirates of the Caribbean. They're thinking about Avatar 2 might come out in December.
James Bond 24 in December.
That's early 2016 from what I've heard. But, these next probably 16 months are going to be unbelievable as far as movies go.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that I'm going to be working to watch movies in the movie theaters for the next
I'm going to be seeing a movie about twice a month at a minimum.
Yeah, there won't be any shortage to talk about for hour number 2 movie talk. And in fact, at one point this year, I'm not even joking, there may be nothing politically to talk about compared to the movies. At least I'm hoping that's the way things will go.
As far as the new Star Wars movie goes, there's two things that really caught my attention. A lot of people really don't like the title, and it's mainly the fanboys and the super into it Star Wars people. It's like, what, has the Force been asleep for 30 years? And it's just that the point of it was killing Darth Sidious was supposed to be the end all be all. That's it. Ultimate evil has been destroyed, and if you follow the EU, Darth Sidious is the ultimate evil ever.
Really, even in the EU.
Right. And the thing is, I like the title because it's like, it's been, they probably had 30 years of somewhat peace and prosperity, and all of a sudden now there's this new kid in town who I really don't think they'll go this direction, but I'm hoping it's Darth Kaitis or something like that from the EU, because that would just be unbelievable, but it won't be. That being said, the other thing I'm super excited about, for those of you who don't know, George Lucas originally intended to make Flash Gordon, or the Flash movies. And they wouldn't let him do it, so he made Star Wars instead. And now one of the cast members was, I believe, one of the villains from one of the first Flash movies. So he's going to play the Alec Guinness role.
Oh, wow.
Christopher Lee role. Yeah, so it should be exciting.
Yeah, the other thing I will say too is a lot of people were bitching about the new lightsaber and how it does that crossing at the end. I honestly thought that was an improvement. I actually thought that was really cool. when they showed that.
Yeah, it sort of mirrored almost like a medieval sword. You know, where at the handle, it sort of has like two little spikes that kind of come out at the end, so that when you're fighting in combat, you can also come down at short range and use that to sort of drive that into somebody. I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking it was.
Right. I actually thought like, wow, lightsaber technology has improved in 30 years. If you're following the if you're following the Star Wars line.
Well, here's one for you. People are complaining about it, but I didn't see anybody complaining when Count Dooku had a curved handle or when Darth Maul had a double saber, because that was the first time we'd seen either of those.
Right.
Yeah, I think people are just literally looking for anything to complain about.
You can never, ever please the Star Wars fanboys, but the big thing is if you go rewatch the Obi-Wan and Anakin versus Dooku, the first battle in Episode 2, if they had that little curved lightsaber, with the handles, perhaps Obi-Wan doesn't get destroyed, he gets sliced up there, and perhaps Anakin's able to come back into the battle. We have a completely different thing, because that's what happened, is it slid down and he sliced up Obi-Wan a little bit.
Right.
Those little handles would have protected him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's fun to nitpick at Star Wars, though. And then there are people who are just like, I don't care about this at all. So,
I highly recommend, if you like kind of seeing some of the other stuff, definitely get into the EU and definitely start with the Darth Bane books, the trilogy, and then go into Plagueis. It is just, oh my lord, you will find yourself going, wow, these are fantastic stories by amazing storytellers.
I am listening. I think I texted you this the other night. I got a free credit for Audible, so I'm listening to the Darth Plagueis audiobook right now, and man, that's a great story.
Wow. Yeah, the other two, the Darth Bane is better than Plagueis, and the Revan audiobook, or the Revan book, is just as good. They're all fantastic stories.
Mm-hmm. So, any final thoughts from you two about anything Star Wars?
Yeah. Is it even possible to just kind of wrap everything up? I think that the key is just the fact that, I think it's an exciting thing to kind of know that, like, we're a year away from not only a new movie, but the start of a new trilogy.
Yeah.
And like I said, sort of at the beginning, I never thought I was going to see this day come. So. No, I mean, I personally thought that, like, Matt and I are into the EU. I just thought that, Matt, I don't know if you ever thought this, but I thought that it would just be EU stuff from here on out, and that we would have to do with the EU. One last thing is, how do you guys feel about J.J. Abrams?
Love it.
Taking
over. Love it.
Yep.
J.J. Abrams is fantastic with this genre. This is what J.J. Abrams was born to do. The only reason I have any sort of, man, I wish it wasn't J.J. Abrams, is because the other person that was the second choice was Christopher Nolan. And a Christopher Nolan made Star Wars movie would be the greatest thing ever, period.
That would be amazing. Oh, man.
if Christopher Nolan directed that, like, I would have to wonder if we would, like, get to hear Christian Bale do his Batman, like, growl in like a Darth type costume.
Well, if this doesn't piss you off, and I know, Sam, you already know this, but Jeff and Richard, Christian Bale and Leo DiCaprio were ahead of Hayden Christensen on the list, but they had other projects.
Yeah.
For Anakin Skywalker.
No,
Christian Bale,
I wouldn't have watched
Skywalker. Holy crap, that would have been awesome. People underestimate Leo DiCaprio as an actor.
Yeah. And I think, although, you know what? I think because of everything that came out after he did Titanic, I think it seemed like he sort of wanted to take a back seat a little bit from, like, big movies. because a lot of the movies he did after Titanic were a little bit smaller, and if they were bigger because he was in it, but not. So I kind of wonder if that had more to do with if he hadn't done Titanic, whether or not he would have actually contemplated doing Star Wars or not.
Jeff also just to let you know, on kind of a side note, we're going to go into hour number 3 just because this requires a third hour. I think we're kind of mirroring what Patrick did the other night, for those of you who were tuning into NGC, just because I want to get Eric in here, although he's not. I pre-recorded the interview with him, but nevertheless, it's Star Wars fandom. But
right.
Yeah, I think I think it turned out. I think considering how the prequels actually turned out, I have no complaints with them, other than the fact that Jar Jar, that's really the only complaint I have. But
right. And Sam, I'm more than happy to stay on and stay in a round table with you. I'll just have to back out and switch to my laptop.
Yeah, all right, yeah, that sounds good. Richard, if you have anything to do, you're free to go.
No, I have a little bit more. What time is it now? It's 7 where I am. So as long as we're done before the mid-season finale of Walking Dead, I'm perfectly fine. So, which isn't for another hour. So
you're a Walking Dead fan.
I am. Yeah.
Well, do you think zombies are going to be real one day?
If they are, I'm probably, everyone likes to say, well, I'm ready for the zombie apocalypse. I'm not. I'd probably get eaten within the first 10 minutes.
Hey man, you can come over to Pennsylvania. I'll have my Gatling gun ready, and we'll be good to go. As long as you can get some food, I can get the guns. We'll be good to go.
That works.
Yeah. Now you're a big fan of the horror genre in general.
Yes.
Aren't you, Richard?
Yep.
Yeah. Now it's interesting because I did read a rumor. I'm trying not to read too many of the rumor sites, but I did see a link the other day that kind of made me think of you, which is that Rose McGowan at some point may come into the Star Wars saga. I can't see it, but knowing that you're such a big fan of hers, what are your thoughts on that?
I have a feeling that's mainly just a rumor.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I don't, because I literally just met her last weekend. I was at a convention that she was a guest at, and she's kind of more interested right now in directing more than anything. Like, she just made a short film that's doing really well, and she's trying to do a feature. Like, I think she's going to take a back seat from acting, and I don't see her as being interested in being kind of involved. Granted, I say that now and watch her be in, episode 8 or something, but I don't know. I'd be more surprised if that actually was the case.
Yeah, I think that's probably just a fanboy's wet dream at this point, and nothing else besides that. But anyway, well, I want to thank you for coming on the program, and hopefully I'll talk to you here soon, before episode 7 comes out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, I want to thank you for coming on, and just before you go, where can we find you, and is there anything that you want us to promote for you?
No, I think the easiest way, obviously, is Twitter, which is just, at Richard Diaz. And same thing with my website. It's richarddiaz.com. I was able to get my name a long time ago. So I'm like the easiest person to find. I ever said if I ever have a stalker, I'm screwed, because I'm everywhere, and I'm the easiest person
to
locate.
And you also do photography work as well, don't you? Or is that just a hobby?
Straight photography is more of a hobby, but I do video work for work. That's how I actually make a living. I create videos for companies and universities and things like that.
Man, that's like my 10th and 11th grade dream is to do freelance work, videography. Now I'm trying to do more professional, not necessarily saying you're not professional, but I mean like on a national level, for like hopefully sports videography would be my dream. But dude, big for me, you know, big good luck for you as you're trying to advance your career, because I know that is super hard to get involved and get into there.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I've been doing it now for like almost 15 years. And just even being on this level alone is kind of, it's because it's all, and the funny thing is, like, it's not like normal job where you can go and sort of, look up job listings.
Right.
Like, most of the work I get, I work with people who I've worked with before. So it's...
Now, what do you think about Vine videos and YouTube videos that kind of just are really stupid and random and have no production value? Do you, like, I personally hate them because I think it takes away from the videography section and just puts it into, oh, look at this cat clawing at the door for 3 seconds, and that's funny.
Honestly, for just being that, I don't have a problem with it. My main beef is when I go in and talk to a client and they're like, oh, well, but I have a video camera at home. Why can't I just bring that in and shoot this interview myself? And I'm like, if you want to go ahead and do that, that's fine. But like, then why am I here, kind of thing? It's because I'm, but it's going to look like a YouTube video. That's the thing. It's like, that's more what it's causing problems for me anyway. It's just that type of thing where, the difference between sort of professional video work that I do and someone just throwing something up on YouTube. It's like there's a big difference between the two. It's, when the two blend, it can get kind of complicated.
I think I would kind of agree. But as I said before, I want to thank you for coming on, and may the force be with you.
May the force be with you guys too.
All right. Thanks for coming on. And folks, we will be right back for our third hour. And Eric will actually be joining us live. So, plus I think Matt Dallas is going to come back here at some point. So we are looking forward to that. And we'll be right back.
We clear?
Hello friends, Jeff Hamill here. The holiday season is officially upon us, and that means it is time to go out and buy gifts for your friends and relatives. The greatest gift you can give your loved ones is a power bank from Octopod. A power bank is a portable charging station that you can connect any USB device to. Go to octopod.com/NGC and check out the Ion 10, Ion 3, and Ion Solar power banks. Again, their website is octo-pod.com/NGC. And remember, NGC is powered by Octopod. Hello friends, Jeff Hamill here. The holiday season is officially upon us, and that means it is time to go out and buy gifts for your friends and relatives. The greatest gift you can give your loved ones is a power bank from Octopod. A power bank is a portable charging station that you can connect any USB device to. Go to octopod.com/NGC and check out the Ion 10, Ion 3, and Ion Solar power banks. Again, their website is octo-pod.com/NGC. And remember, NGC is powered by Octopod.
Welcome to a very special third hour of the WA radio show here on NGC Media. Now, here's your host, Sam Whitfield.
Whitfield
Okay, go ahead, Sam. I was going to take the reins for you, but go ahead.
Welcome to the Star Wars special edition of the Whitfield Analysis. I am Sam Whitfield, joined here by Jedi Master Matt Dallas. You can follow him on Twitter. Oh, yeah, that's right. He and I are both Sith Lords, so we should have probably queued up the Imperial March, but nevertheless, we can do that at some other point. Anyway, welcome to the third hour of the Whitfield Analysis. This is actually the first time in show history that I've ever done a third hour. But nevertheless, we are here talking Star Wars, and right now Matt wants to talk some expanded universe stuff. Then later we will be joined by Eric Parashos for his opinion on the Star Wars trailer and everything else. But first, Matt, you mentioned that you wanted to bring up some EU stuff.
Right, and for those of you who are unaware, like Jeff was 10 minutes ago, EU stands for Expanded Universe. So the EU encompasses – it's basically kind of like licensed fan fiction, if you want to look at it from that angle. So basically you go back, there's 10,000 years before Star Wars. They have like everything that happened leading up to that, plus some stuff before that that's in scattered pieces. And then they have time from the end of Episode 6 on, and it's Luke Skywalker's descendants and all that good stuff. But I kind of like all my interest is located is in the prequel stuff, the Darth Bane, Darth Revan, all that old Nagasato, all that stuff. Sam, you mentioned that you're starting to finally get into it. Would you mind telling everybody kind of what you've started listening to and reading?
Well, I've actually the Star Wars EU is something that I've actually kind of been into for a while, but I didn't really realize that I was into it. Growing up, I played the Knights of the Old Republic video game, which some people say is when the expanded universe started. I don't know about that factually, but like for me, I know that's where the expanded universe started. So I played Knights of the Old Republic, loved that game, played Knights of the Old Republic 2. And by the way, I actually had to go back and like watch some of the YouTube videos for Knights of the Old Republic 2, just because I couldn't remember what the storyline for that was. Both of those storylines are fantastic. And then I actually went back recently this weekend and started listening to the Darth Plagueis audiobook. And then I've collected the Knights of the Old Republic comic books and all of the EU comic books from Dark Horse for a long time, so I recently dug those up. So right now I'm kind of focusing on like the prequel universe, as does Matt, but yeah, we're kind of scattered all over the place.
What's up, Sam?
And Darth Parashos is here to tell us.
Why am I evil? Just
because
I hate the prequels. That's a slur, man. That's fucking racist.
Exactly. So, welcome to the show, Eric, a longtime friend of the show. Not a problem. So,
long time
Eric,
no talk.
I know, right? For those of you who don't know, and I'll probably still post this interview at some point on my YouTube channel. But we interviewed like last night about the same thing. So Eric, why don't you start off? Do you remember the first time you saw Star Wars?
God, I was really young. I don't remember like the specific age, but I had the VHS set that was the black box with the original Star Wars had the blue letters. It said Star Wars, and The Empire Strikes Back was in purple, and then The Return of the Jedi was in maroon. It was the 1995 THX box set, and that's what I first saw Star Wars in, and that's what I fell in love with, and the rest, I guess, is kind of history.
And then Eric is also one of those Star Wars fans who loves to bash on the re-edits and the prequel trilogy.
What re-edits? There are only 3 versions of Star Wars. The theatrical version of Star Wars, the theatrical version of Empire, and the theatrical version of Jedi. Those are the only 3 that exist. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh boy, I can tell this is going to be fun.
It's a lightsaber battle. So yeah. So to me,
no, I know the rules exist. Unfortunately, no matter how much bleach I drink, they can't go away. I know.
So why are the prequels so horrible? You heard Richard and Matt and I, and the prequels are no big deal. So why are they so horrible?
I just don't think they work as films. I don't think they work as Star Wars films. I think that the biggest problem, as I said this with you before, is the difference was in the original Star Wars, it was a collaborative effort where people wrote and reread and re-edited the scripts, and the scripts of the prequels seem like Lucas just scribbled them on a legal pad and went straight to shooting without having someone proofread them. When you surround yourself with a bunch of yes men, which it seems like what happened in the prequels, there's nobody there to tell you that your ideas, might need a little bit of work. And no matter what art you're in, you need somebody to say that, And like with Empire, you had Irving Kershner there to work with the actors and spruce up the script. In the original Star Wars, Lucas's friends, it was a couple, and I forget the name. They did an uncredited rewrite of the original draft, and they spruced up the dialogue, and that accounted for like 15% of the actual dialogue used in the movie. I mean, the point is, you got to have that person there to let you know that your ideas need work. And it seemed like the problem for me with the prequels is a lot of these ideas shouldn't have made it into the film.
Such as?
I mean, just mostly the script, some of the choices. I mean, I just think that the difference is, like I said, it didn't feel like a collaborative effort, and it seemed like more of a Lucas thing.
So, some would argue, though, that since it was Lucas's original creation, it was his to do what he wanted to with it. I'm not saying
he was the idea person, but okay. I mean, like, how many different things go into the making of those movies, like the making of the sound effects, the score, John Williams? I mean, he didn't even direct 2 of them, or write Empire or Jedi, really. He helped with Jedi, but, I mean, he didn't write Empire or direct Empire, so is that really his movie?
Yeah, okay.
Point taken.
Here's my issue with George Lucas, and I actually take a lot of issues with George Lucas. People don't really realize this.
We'll agree on this, then.
George Lucas is a terrible storyteller.
Agreed.
Right.
George Lucas had the idea for Star Wars. Look at, and this is like what I was talking about with the EU, Sam. Lucas kind of came up with the concept for the Star Wars universe. It was this. It actually is,
right.
And as much as people try to deny that it is this, it absolutely is the Greek tragedy that is Anakin Skywalker. But he started with.
I don't buy that.
Okay, there's interviews of Mark Hamill talking about prequels and these current movies that are about to come out in 1979.
Okay.
So, I mean, you can't deny that was the original plan. Mainly for 2 reasons. One, the whole concept with the Clone Wars and all that stuff was there was going to be a lot of special effects needed, a lot of Jedi on screen, and we just didn't have the technological capabilities to run that kind of movie. But
right.
where Lucas falls short And if you go back and listen to some of the read-throughs, the early read-throughs, which are on YouTube, with Hamill and Ford going through the scripts, they sound terrible. Lucas came up with a brilliant concept for a story. Like, he came up with that fell from grace Greek tragedy, but he really didn't fit the script very well. He can't write dialogue. George Lucas has no idea how to write dialogue.
No.
Yeah.
And again, that kind of gets into my point about needing somebody, like, not surrounding yourself with yes men, and needing somebody to tell you that your script needs work.
Right. I mean, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of Lucas myself. I think that a lot of stuff that he's done, just in terms of, like, I would agree that dialogue is horrible. Matt brought up an interesting point the other day when he and I were talking, just the two of us, though, with the prequels, which was that the actors themselves weren't miscast, but just the scripts were so horrible. And
right. The point I was bringing up with that, and someone on YouTube that's pretty famous on YouTube called the Nostalgia Critic brought up this point, and Kyle Winter was the one that told me this. Hayden Christensen, in the scenes where he's not talking, like in the Jedi Temple March scene in Episode 3, or when he's on Mustafar and he kind of does that look at the camera, he nails it. He hits that perfectly. And the thing with if you look at the dialogue like that, it's only because I'm so in love with you. I mean, I don't care who's delivering that line. It's going to suck.
Yeah.
So Hayden Christensen has kind of become the poster child for the failure that is the prequels. And so is Jake Lloyd. Jake Lloyd was perfect for that role, I thought. Same with Hayden Christensen. They did fine. It's a matter of Lucas messed up the script, and he messed up especially with Episode 2. Episode 2 was the hinging point that could have made Star Wars go from a perfect saga to, and now it's just 3 really good movies and 3 okay movies.
Yeah.
Okay, go on, Sam.
I have to admit, out of the 6, really, Episode 2 is my least favorite out of the 3. I mean, granted, it's still a Star Wars movie, so I like it, but I would have rather they scrap that one. So
for me, my favorites, it's Empire, then Jedi, then New Hope, then Revenge of the Sith, Phantom Menace, and 2. And 2 is it's like in Moneyball that there's a Phantom Menace, then there's 50 Feet of Crap, and then there's Episode 2.
Yeah. For me it's A New Hope, Empire, Jedi, then Phantom Revenge, and then Attack of the Clones. So
yeah, I think that was a good point that Nostalgia Critic brings up in that video, that everybody in that was really pretty badly miscast, except for Ewan. Ewan on paper was perfect to play Obi-Wan. And I think everybody, given the show handed in the script, did fine, but nobody can say that shit, you know? I mean, I guess I can't fault them, but
what I like about Ewan is that he was a Star Wars guy, for one thing. I mean, he wanted to be in Star Wars, and the biggest thing he did was his goal was to emulate Alec Guinness as much as possible.
And I think in that way, I mean, Ewan, like I said, was perfect. I mean, take somebody like Sam Jackson, was so horribly miscast for that role. I mean, that's just not who Sam Jackson is. I mean, I could even argue that Natalie Portman, there could have been somebody better. I mean, I guess part of the reason the original Star Wars kind of works for me is, like, those faces at the time weren't huge, and that's what, you know, Harrison Ford been in American Graffiti, but I mean, as far as I know, Carrie Fisher.
He was unemployed working as a carpenter when he was cast for Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, like, those were unknown faces. I think that's part of the reason why it worked in the original trilogy. And then you bring all these super well-known people in, and I guess that kind of detracts from it, for me at least, because I think a lot of those people were brought in because they were famous, not necessarily because they fit the parts very well.
I don't think Hayden Christensen was famous. I don't think Portman was really that famous at the time. Neither was Ewan.
Right.
Well,
right, yeah.
But I don't know if he's famous. But
I honestly, the only cast member in the prequels that I have any problem with is Samuel L. Jackson. And not even Samuel L. Jackson. My problem lies with Mace Windu. If you're going to cast Samuel L. Jackson, make Mace Windu a Samuel L. Jackson character. Because how cool would a loose cannon Jedi be? I mean, that would be awesome. But they didn't.
As written, Samuel Jackson is miscast for the Mace Windu character. I think we're on the same page on that.
Yeah, I'm having problems just trying to visualize a Jedi that says motherfucker as much as...
If you guys want to give yourself a good laugh, go on YouTube and search Darth L. Jackson. It's the every Darth Vader scene from episode.
Hey friends, I'm back. I'm super sorry about me not being here. I was actually working in my house, and I listened to the audio, and it wasn't coming through. But I think
back.
we're all right. We have some people back. I'm just telling everybody. I'm working in my house on flooring, and I'm listening to the show, and all of a sudden it cuts out, and I'm like, Dad, I gotta go. And I run up the stairs and try and get the show back on. So
where was I when I cut out, Sam?
Well, you were saying something along the lines of how episode 1 started things off perfectly because Anakin was well-intentioned, and I would agree with you. That's why out of the prequel series, episode 1 is my favorite.
Right.
But continue on with you.
Okay.
On with your point.
Well, episode 1, because like I said earlier, it's not the Luke Skywalker rebellion story. That's not what Star Wars is. Star Wars is supposed to paint the Anakin Skywalker as sort of a Lucifer before the fall. And the idea that he was this little kid, and that picture that they made famous of half Jake Lloyd, half Darth Vader, was exactly what I wanted episode 1 to be, where it is this completely innocent little kid. And they really did a good job of setting the stage for what the Clone Wars were. Episode 3 painted the picture of Anakin falling perfectly. So they had the rise and they had the fall. But the problem is that apex area where it's really crucial because they started it out horribly wrong. There's a video that alludes to all of these things, and I hate to ramble about this, but there's one part where he mentions what they should have done. The movie should have started with Anakin Skywalker failing the Jedi trials. Trying and failing. And then all of a sudden you have the Chosen One failed the Jedi trials. Holy crap, is Obi-Wan fit as a teacher? And then that on-screen, that tension that they try to talk about with Anakin and Obi-Wan, because they keep telling you that there's tension, but why is there tension? The other thing is that chase scene at the beginning. They didn't do much to introduce us to the characters. It was just long drawn out in special effects. What they should have done was Anakin abusing the Force, going all out, knocking over buildings, causing collateral damage left and right in order to get the guy, because he has that power taking over that because the point of Anakin's fall, Anakin fell for good reason. And that was supposed to that you can show that there is that do bad things to justify positive ends.
Right.
And then the next problem is, one, they should have introduced Count Dooku earlier, because that would have shown that he means business a little earlier. And then all of a sudden you reveal at the end that he's working for Sidious, and you're like, holy crap, this super powerful dude answers to somebody. And then the biggest thing they could have done to make the movies better, or the second movie better, is the Anakin and Padme stuff. Because Anakin loves Padme, but why? Because Anakin has to.
Because the script says so.
Exactly, because Anakin has to.
They look at each other. They look at each other all nice, and they're in love.
Well, you guys I'm assuming you've all seen The Bourne Identity.
I
long time ago.
I own the entire trilogy, so
well,
yeah.
You know, at the end of the Bourne Identity, there's some romantic stuff going on there with Matt Damon and the girl, right?
Yeah.
What if they have Count Dooku relentlessly pursuing Anakin and Padme, and the constant on the run starts through tension building a relationship with these two?
That would have been way better, and it would have been I could see where like they could have woven in some of the episode 1 stuff, like, hey, I remember this and I remember that. Like they could have done like a whole kind of like, hey, do you remember this? I thought it was really sweet when you did that. Not this whole creepy like, I've thought of you every single day.
Anakin doesn't look like a person who's in love. He looks like a voyeur in the movie, and the biggest problem is there's no basis for their relationship. Why would a person who's like the biggest celebrity Jedi ever potentially throw away his career for this woman? What has Padme done to make it so Anakin would warrant that? And not only that, but what has Anakin done to make Padme warrant throwing away her career as a senator and going out with someone who's 10 years younger than she is?
So can someone explain, is it ever explained why Jedi can't love in the film?
Yes.
In the film, it's explained why the senators can't love or the Jedis can't love.
Well, the senator, it would be a scandal. It'd be no different than, senator going out with a Jedi that's forbidden. It's be a scandal. But the biggest thing is the Jedi can't love because attachments lead to jealousy, and if you fall in love is an irrational emotion, and if you're in love with someone, you'll do irrational things like Anakin did in order to protect that person, and you put them above it. And with the Jedi, it's supposed to be level-headedness, and the love can lead to jealousy, which can lead to greed, anger, and you have those hateful emotions, and that's kind of defeats the purpose of being a Jedi.
Right. Even though in the EU, Bastila falls in love with Raven, but we won't get into that.
That actually, that's a whole different thing, and they touch on that in the EU as to why that ends up working. But the fact of the matter is there's no reason for Anakin to love Padme. There's no reason for Padme to love Anakin. So if we were to have that constantly on the move, because it's like, really, the senator's got attempts on her life, so let's have a fucking picnic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's just go into like the most open area where we're an easy target. I mean,
it's like, okay, first off, Palpatine, who is Darth Sidious, hope I'm not spoiling anything.
Spoilers.
He's the one in charge of. He's the one that's trying to orchestrate taking down Amidala as far as the 6 movies are concerned. And there's a much deeper plan when you look into Plagueis, but I'll get into that in a minute. Well, okay, first off, he was the one that told her to go to Naboo. Second of all, she's a senator from Naboo. I don't know about you, but if I'm looking to assassinate, a good place to start is her home planet.
Yeah.
But I actually have to run for a minute. I will be back shortly. You guys kind of go on without me for a few minutes.
Okay, can we talk about the bounty hunter? Like, really, your best idea was to use the bug thing. Why couldn't you just?
Well, my whole problem with the bounty hunter thing is,
you're a hunter, why do you need to wear a mask if you're a shapeshifter? Isn't that?
Well, first of all, the shapeshifter scared the hell out of me when I was a kid. So, literally scared the crap out of me. So the shapeshifter takes I take major point off of that just for that. Second of all, though, if you think about it, the Clone Wars starts entirely because of the assassination attempt on her.
Yeah.
That's literally why they go to war. Now, if you read Greek mythology, there's the whole thing of Helen of Troy and the whole Greek mythology thing, which I get. I get that completely, but they didn't structure it real well because it wasn't because Helen of Troy, that whole story was two sides are fighting, for the hand of one woman to marry them. And that dynamic doesn't quite work here. So it just seemed stupid.
I mean, it's not so much the fact that she was assassinated, it's the method that they used that seems stupid. Also, the fact that she's in this big room, open room with windows. Like,
yeah. Well, now we're nitpicking. I just thought that, like, for me, the whole concept of them going to war over her assassination seemed a little stupid as like a whole. Because that's essentially what they do in episode 2. I'm like, so wait, the Clone Wars, which you've heard about in episodes 4, 5, and 6, and 1, are because of the assassination attempt on this one woman's life. And then they don't even explain like why she's that important to be assassinated either.
Because the script says so.
Right, but like show us why she's so important.
Well,
like,
that's the big problem is they tell and they don't show. Like, they tell us about these. Like, for example, Anakin and Obi-Wan. Oh, I haven't been this nervous since I fell into this, this nest of gun dots. They tell you that they're friends, but we don't really see their friendship blossom and bloom like we do, like with Luke and Han and the 4th episode. And same with Anakin and Padme. They tell us they're in love for some reason. There's no reason for them to be in love, but we have to believe it because the script says so.
Yeah,
I'm back, everybody.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Eric, I kind of caught the end of what you were saying there. And not only that, there's the Obi-Wan. It's Obi-Wan's fault. Obi-Wan's holding me back. Well,
yeah, that too.
What evidence is there? There's that one scene where Anakin, with the lightsaber, with the try not to lose it. This weapon is your life. They went in there to hide, not to run. How is that overly critical? If you want him to be overly critical, let's show him to be overly critical.
And that's the thing. Like another one of my big problems with the prequels is by no fault of the actors, but I just didn't care about any of these characters. And that's the thing. In the Revenge of the Sith, there's this big emotional moment. You were the chosen one. You were my brother. Blah blah blah. Like, but I don't care at this point. They try to manufacture this emotion like you're supposed to care about these characters, and you don't. And I think that's a shortcoming of the writing because I don't really give a fuck about these characters. In fact, I want them to die.
Have you seen how Episode 2 could have saved everything?
What?
Have you seen the How Episode 2 Could Have Saved Everything YouTube video?
No.
I have.
Go watch that, Eric. You will love it.
I mean, in fact, I was happy. Like, my favorite part was when Anakin was, like, on fire. I was like, oh, that's awesome.
This is why.
That's what I feel when I'm watching this movie.
Well, and the other thing is they with Darth Vader and all that stuff, they did it wrong too, because it's like, oh, accidentally, I killed Mace Windu in a holy shit, I got to do this now moment. All of a sudden, I'm killing baby Jedi.
Yeah. It's like, okay, if this is a movie for children, it's George.
Oops, guess I'm bad now.
Yeah, if this is a movie for children, as George claims, and I know George is kind of full of shit a lot, but like, is that something we really needed to see in a Star Wars movie? Master Skywalker, there are too many of them. Like, do we really need to see that in a supposed kids movie?
Well, and then let's not forget my favorite quote at the end which is like, I'm afraid in your anger you killed her.
She died of a broken heart. The fuck is that?
No, just like through the Vader mask, and I actually have a huge problem with that because
a lot of people do.
Well,
Vader's supposed to be an emotionless enigma.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, but 20 minutes earlier, you see Anakin kill Padme, and it's like, did the magma or whatever burn you that bad that you have no memory of that, or did you just black out in like a black rage, or what happened there? Like, they do a piss poor job of explaining what happened or like why he's screaming.
Right. And like I said earlier, the episode 2 is too centric on the Clone Wars aspect of it. And if they had done this the way it was supposed to be done and given more allusions with an A to some other things, that theater scene in episode 3, which I don't care what movie you're watching, that is a great scene across cinema, period.
Yeah.
Because Ian McDiarmid and Ewan McGregor and Christopher Lee saved the episode 2 and some of episode 3 because they're just fantastic. But it gives a whole new meaning to that scene, because that actually, what people don't realize, that scene is Darth Sidious telling Anakin where he came from, considering he was born of a virgin mother.
Yeah, opera room scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one's okay, I guess. I mean,
Hence why I'm now reading listening to Darth Plagueis right now. But we'll get into that in a sec. Which, by the way, I finally realized Immune is one of those banking clan things. Which,
yeah, you didn't figure that out.
Well, I figured that out once they described the characteristics. But
right, a Bith is which is what Tenebris is. That's the Cantina people.
Yeah, which in my mind is kind of laughable because it seems like you would want to hug one of those guys, not.
Tenebris had red force lightning. Think about that for a second.
Well, I suppose
that
is pretty cool, and I suppose all cuddly things are dangerous at some point or another.
True.
Gremlins.
Yeah. Anyway, though, yeah, I think the opera scene was probably the best out of the entire prequel series, and I really think that Ian McDiarmid was probably the best cast.
Well, they cast him because he was the Emperor in Jedi.
Right.
I think that Ian McDiarmid's character, the Emperor, was the only one with clear motivation throughout the whole movie, and that was just that he was fucking evil and wanted to be as fucking evil as he could be.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is, if they had that whole chase stuff with Padme, they could have painted it as Sidious trying to bring them together so he could rip them apart, and then that could be Anakin's downfall.
Oh,
right.
Okay, let's move to a larger point. I feel like a big problem with the prequels, they had point A, which was the beginning, and point C, where Anakin's in the Vader suit, but they had all this shit in between, and they didn't really know what to do with it. And part of the reason I think which is a problem with Phantom Menace for me, is that so much of Phantom Menace seems inconsequential once you get the clones.
I'm real sorry about the connection issues tonight. Nothing I can really do about it.
Been around talking.
Oh, we're back.
But of all the things, though, the prequels did a lot of things right. And yeah, they actually did. For one thing, it absolutely gives some new meaning to 4, 5, and 6. And the thing with 4, 5, and 6 is it's too predictable. That's my only flaw with it, with the exception of the reveal in 5. But it's
okay. Hold that thought. Continue that, but hold that thought, because I'm going to comment on that reveal in a sec.
But it's the reveal was obviously like oh hey, let's do this. But that being said, they're very predictable. It's very good guys win because that's what good guys do. With and the 1, 2, and 3 kind of give new meaning to that, and they give that these bad guys really do mean business. And Sidious, and if you look at his whole master plan from the scheme that is the Trade Federation stuff all the way up through the inevitable fall of Anakin Skywalker, it really it absolutely augments 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
But you were saying about the reveal, Eric? So if Lucas is to be taken seriously, which again I don't think he is, and you're supposed to watch the films from 1 to 6, I have a problem with that because I feel like watching the prequels first completely ruins what's supposed to be like the big reveal in the original trilogy because you already know that.
That's why he did that's why he released them 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, I think. And it's because that creates for more cinematic tension. But there's certain things in the prequels that like the no, there is another, that all that was doing was to try and create faux tension that Luke was actually in real danger.
Right. Well, and Zach actually brought that point up this morning.
I completely disagree with the analysis they gave.
Right. Well, for those of you who didn't read the Facebook post, one of our listeners, and we're not trying to single you out here, Zach, but Zach alluded to the point that Lucas intended there to be another Star Wars, or for there to be another Skywalker that wasn't Leia. And Matt, you were just about ready to explain that didn't work because...
Well, okay, the purpose of it was what I said. It wasn't supposed to be, it was just supposed to be that, okay, maybe Luke isn't the guy, and maybe we shouldn't put all our eggs in this Luke basket. Maybe we should, hedge our bets elsewhere. But the fact of the matter is what they were doing was showing that they were trying to allude to. Some people think they were alluding to that Leia was the sister, and Leia was possibly more powerful, or another Hope. But in reality, the Luke and Leia being twins thing was supposed to be in there. I mean, it just was.
So yeah. So and Zach was saying that wasn't the case, but. I mean, even by episode 4, I figured out.
By the way, there's a video of on YouTube. It's 10 hours of the scene where Leia goes, "He's my brother," and then it switches over to her kissing Luke, and then it goes to Luke saying, "Leia is my sister," and then it just cycles through it for 10 hours.
Oh,
okay, yeah, that's kind of where I want to call bullshit on Lucas. Like, he might have figured it out after Empire was done, but I feel like at that point when he has Leia kissing Luke, like, he didn't know. I mean, I don't think he knew then. Maybe, like, he figured it out sometime between 1980 and 1983 when he was writing Jedi. But, like, this whole thing, this idea that maybe he knew it from the beginning, I have to call bullshit on that.
Right. There's actually a clip on YouTube that I thought you guys should check out. It's Mark Hamill being interviewed about Episode 7. And I clicked on it. I was like, oh, yeah, Mark Hamill talking about Episode 7. Maybe we'll get some plot details. And all of a sudden, it's Mark Hamill from 1980. And I'm like, what in the world is this? And it says, Mark Hamill, absolutely loyal to Lucas. And the big thing it said was, yeah, he was talking to me about, would you want to come back and play like an Obi-Wan Alec Guinness character in like 2012, 2013? And this was in 1980.
Wow.
So people forget there was a plan. People act like Lucas wanted to make this episode 4 and, oh yeah, by the way, I guess it did well, so we're going to do more. It really was this story, this 1 through 6 story. And it really was, okay, we're going to make episode 4 because if we can only get funding for one movie, that's the one that stands alone. Episode 4 is the only movie in the series that stands alone as its own movie.
Yeah.
That's actually true.
And so if they didn't get the funding, and then, okay, well, and the other thing was if they were just only going to get funding for a trilogy, 4, 5, 6 was the trilogy.
Right.
And 4, 5, 6 at the time, 1, they didn't have the technology to do 1 through 3, and 2, the Darth Vader reveal, that is perfect for that's great for a trilogy. And he thought, okay, well, if we decide to go back, it's very much easier to end on the Emperor being destroyed than it is to end on Darth Vader being born.
Right. And I mean, even so, now that I think about it, the fact that Lucas pre-filmed that New Hope scene with Jabba before they were able to, actually do that film was actually genius. That Lucas could have even predicted that the technology would have been there in 20 years. So,
well, there is some genius to George Lucas. George Lucas for one thing, he retained all the merchandising rights instead of 20th Century Fox. And I don't know about you, but I think that was a pretty good move.
Yeah, he's a shrewd businessman, that's for sure.
But the fact of the matter is he had a vision.
Yes.
He didn't. And what frustrates me though about this is, and I know I was ragging on him earlier, and this thought just hit me. We act as though no one is ever allowed to make a revision or an edit in a story. When we talk about George Lucas, it's like, oh my gosh, he changed his mind. Like nickel for every time I've been writing a creative writing piece for school and changed my mind in the middle about the direction I wanted to take it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a difference between before you submit something, changing your mind, and after you submitting it, and then going back and changing your mind. That's number one. Number two, at this point, Star Wars and Empire are part of our film culture. They've been honored by the Library of Congress. And I think at that point, yes, they're Lucas's vision, but at that point, when they've been honored in their original form by the Library of Congress, we have a duty to preserve them in that form in which they were honored. They no longer just become his. They become part of...
Right. I'm not talking about the altered versions. I'm talking about the prequel trilogy.
Okay.
Most of the edits I actually don't take issue with. It's like the best analogy I can make is it's like a digitally remastered Beatles album. And I know Jeff hates the Beatles, but
okay, Jeff, I'm sorry. We can't be friends anymore.
The Beatles are the greatest rock band ever, period.
Yes.
End of discussion.
Yes, period. End of discussion.
That being said, if you were to digitally remaster a Beatles album, it's like, yeah, put it in stereo, change it, change the audio quality.
Oh, by the way, I do hate the Beatles quite a bit.
Put it in stereo, change the audio quality, boost it, and make the sound a little more wholesome. That's how you digitally remaster someone. You can't go and change Yesterday and change the lyrics of Yesterday. That's what Lucas did with some of those scenes.
Yeah.
And, you can't change the chord at the beginning of Hard Day's Night. And I don't mind, even adding a couple X-Wings to that one scene, or retouching the X-Wings digitally, or changing the Dune C to be digital, or adding a few things. That makes the movies better. What doesn't make the movies better, and I don't give a shit about Han shot first. That's just completely irrelevant in my mind. What I don't like is the no by Darth Vader when he's picking up the Emperor, or Hayden Christensen's head being photoshopped onto Sebastian Shaw's body.
That one I have a particular issue with, specifically because unless I'm wrong, and maybe Matt knows about this, but it wouldn't have even mattered because Darth Vader would have aged anyway.
Well, right. I think what Lucas was going for was more in the direction of that's Anakin Skywalker. Darth Vader's irrelevant. That's Anakin Skywalker.
Right.
But if that's the case, let's show Ewan McGregor and CGI Yoda.
Right. And to the point, I mean,
that might be. Don't say that.
I would have still been fine with Sebastian Shaw being the ghost in the remasters, because I actually thought, well, yeah, that's how Anakin would have looked at 60 or however old.
He would have been, let me just do the quick math here. He would have been, I believe, like almost 50.
Okay, yeah. So maybe Sebastian Shaw looked a little older, but I could still buy that compared to like 30-something-year-old Hayden Christensen.
Right, and the concept behind it, I don't mind. Your father ceased to be the good man that was Anakin Skywalker, became Darth Vader, and da-da-da-da-da, all that good stuff. So we're going to show him as he was before the fall, because that was the White Knight.
Right.
But actually, Eric, I'm going to send you on Facebook that link to how Episode 2 could have saved everything. You will love it.
Good, because tomorrow when I'm at work, I'm probably going to be really bored, so I'll need something to listen to.
Right. All right. Well, hey, guys, I actually got to get going. I got to go record another thing with another person, so I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for having me on, Sam.
Oh, no problem. We'll talk to you down the road.
Yeah, send me that link, and I'll talk to you soon.
Will do. See you, Eric.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Skype needs your attention.
I think I might have been disconnected from my own broadcast. I don't know though. Can you go check in the chat room?
Okay, yeah, I don't know if were we on air, because when I checked, it said NGC Media is off air.
Oh, we have.
I think so.
Wait, no, Jeff. I was talking to Jeff. So Jeff, are you still there? I guess we've been good for a while. That's what he says.
Okay, cool.
Anyway, so we got the whole thing with Matt going. So, what were your thoughts on the trailer?
Oh yeah, the trailer, that thing that we came to talk about. That's right.
Yes.
No, I'll use this phrase. I'm cautiously optimistic. It actually made me feel something for Star Wars, which is something that's not happened in like over 15 years. So that's an accomplishment in and of itself. So that's good. But again, I'm cautiously optimistic. I've been let down before, and it sucked. So we'll see. I'm hoping for the best, and I think at least George Lucas isn't involved in the writing, and that's good. So that's something that's making me feel good about.
Have you seen anything other by? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I said I'm hoping it's going to be good, but I guess I just have to wait and see. I'm cautiously optimistic.
Have you seen anything else by J.J. Abrams?
I've seen both the new Star Trek movies. I have not seen Super 8, and I have not. What else has he done?
He did Lost, which I've only seen the two Star Trek films too.
I didn't watch.
No. Anyway, I like J.J. Abrams. I have faith in J.J. Abrams, and I find your lack of faith in J.J. disturbing.
No, I have faith in JJ. I have more faith in JJ than I do George. Not saying much, but
I just have to use that line.
Yeah,
but no, it'll be seriously interesting because here's what I don't usually make predictions even with politics, but here's what's going to happen.
You're wrong. I'm going to remember this and hold you to it if you're wrong.
No. Here's the way it's going to happen. Either JJ is going to completely revitalize the franchise and people are going to love him, or he's going to screw up worse than Lucas did and he'll be even more hated. Either one of those two things is going to happen.
I don't think it's possible to screw it up worse than that's another thing. Like, it's literally not possible for it to be fucked up worse than Lucas from where I'm standing. So,
well,
it only goes up from here for me. That's what she said.
I guess. We never really got Jeff's opinion on. Well, we did kind of. I don't know.
My heart's still broken from what Jeff said about my favorite band, so I'm...
Hey, Jeff hasn't listened to... Jeff is somewhat... Hey, Jason, our other old friend, hates Pink Floyd, so... Which...
Well, that's more understandable. They're just a bunch of cunts.
Yeah, well, yeah, that...
Personality-wise,
yeah.
Roger and David are both childish cunts. I'm not gonna lie, but
yeah.
I like music. Their music's great, mostly.
Yeah. Although, have you heard the Endless album? This is kind of
not yet. I should really need to just listen to it, and it's instrumental, so it'll be good background music for me at work.
It's not a David Gilmour solo album. Out of all the solo albums, it's a Richard Wright solo album. Is what it is. If Richard Wright had a solo album, which he never did, this would be it.
Well, he had a couple, but
yeah, Jeff. So. Did we ever ask you what you thought of the trailer?
The trailer? No. Sorry for my absence, by the way. And
it's cool.
Yeah, the Beatles.
Were you busy stalking Elvis heart?
Music is subjective. I'll get that. And talking about music, all art is subjective, and you know, to be completely honest with you, I'm not sure what I think. I haven't watched a Star Wars in probably about 6 years because after I watched the third one like 12 times, I kind of got burned out from it. Notably speaking, I watched it 12 freaking times. So, I mean, it's gonna run its course, if you will. So, I haven't watched it in a long time. I know so little about Star Wars to the fact that I didn't even know what EU meant. I had to Google the expanded universe. I no idea. And so I'm like looking at this trailer, and I'm gonna give it a second look because there are some things that I like about it. A lot of people, like you guys said earlier, have a problem with the three sides, like the big the Sith red lightsaber that had it kind of looked like a cross type of a thing.
Yeah, I
like that a lot. I really enjoyed it. Here's why: because it's not the same old, just like one-sided or one length lightsaber. It's completely different. It's its own thing, and I like that a lot. The other thing I like, what Matt said. He said no one had an issue with Darth Maul's double-sided, and then Dooku's curved saber, and nobody had a problem with that. But for some reason, this new one comes out, which I think gives
I think it's a vast improvement on.
I do too. I think every lightsaber should be different. I mean, this is the tool that keeps you alive for, whenever they're fighting.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that none of them have any form of uniqueness between the others? None of them. I think that they each should have their own style. I think they should each have their own type of saber that, holy cow, like, Luke has this one that looks like this, and no one else has one that looks like it. I don't know if that's part of the book or if everyone has to have the same, but I like it. I also think that it's gonna. I hope it has more action. The episodes 1 and 2 and 3, well, really 1 and 2, are so slow that 25, 30 minutes into this, I'm like, it's awful. The movies are great. Just the freaking slowness of it just, drag on. So I think if they make this a lot faster, and you guys said that there's a new person directing it, right?
Yeah. Did you ever see?
I think it should be much, much, much better.
Yeah. Did you ever see Star Trek, Jeff? The newer Star Trek?
I have never turned Star Trek on a DVD, on Netflix. I never broke out the VHS player for it. I never watched it on TV. I'm not a Trekkie. I don't have anything against it, but I haven't.
You're just basically indifferent.
Well, I don't know. I'm indifferent to Star Trek too. However, I will say J.J. Abrams did a good job on the 2 Star Trek films. I actually went back and watched the Star Trek films because I heard that he was doing the Star Wars films, so I wanted to see how he did with the space science fiction genre, and I thought he did pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I've never really taken the time to watch it. I do think that it's going to be a better movie than the third one. I have kind of like what Eric said. I have the cautious, optimistic approach to this movie. I want it to be good. I really do.
Yeah, I really want it to. And like I said, I probably differ with you guys a little bit, but from where I'm standing, like I said, it probably can't possibly be worse than the other movies. So, I mean...
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I think it can be. I just think it'd be very difficult.
That's what I mean. Yeah, okay.
Right.
Well, it could be, but it's very hard to be worse than the 3 prequels.
Yeah. So we have about 3 minutes left, and Jeff, any notable comments? I know that we're kind of running low on time. But
I'd just like to say that I think the third hour was much more successful than I was anticipating. I was listening downstairs, like if you want to say my studio, my home studio here is on the top floor of my house, and we're doing flooring in my basement. So I'm like listening to the show, waiting for any pause to happen. I'm sprinting up 3 floors of stairs and trying to make the show continue on. But I'd like to thank Eric for sticking around for the third hour, Matt for sticking around for most, I'm going to say over half of the third hour. I'd like to thank
Richard for sticking around longer than he did. That was kind of...
Yeah, he was messaging me like, hey, how long am I supposed to be on? I was like, I have no idea. So it was really cool for him to step up and help us out for the length that he did.
Yeah, and look, I don't intend doing a podcast, that's 3 hours long. This isn't going to be a regular thing, but considering what came out on Friday with the Star Wars trailer, I've been waiting because when I started this show, Star Wars was, over, and so this was, a long time coming for me. I've been wanting to do this for years. Anyway, folks, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Go to our website, ngcmedia.com, and may the Force be with you.
Be with you.
Hello friends, Jeff Hamill here. The holiday season is officially upon us, and that means it is time to go out and buy gifts for your friends and relatives. The greatest gift you can give your loved ones is a power bank from Octopod. A power bank is a portable charging station that you can connect any USB device to. Go to octopod.com/NGC and check out the Ion 10, Ion 3, and Ion Solar power banks. Again, their website is octo-pod.com/NGC. And remember, NGC is powered by Octopod.